Hello and welcome back to the game room. You know what I love? Video games. You know what I love? Talking about games. And it seems like a lot of people these days who cover games seem to hate them. Or at least the people who play them. Well, that's not me. And that's not the 4,775 of you beautiful people checking out this video here today. 25 subs away from 4,800. That countdown to 5,000 is upon us, guys. Thank you so much. And last week's video was great. Thank you guys for coming with me on the PS5 journey. Thank you guys for all the nice well wishes with the job situation. I'll land on my feet, but it sucks. I know a lot of you have been there too. Now, I'm going to address something that comes up from time to time here in regards to me speaking about spoilers. Once again, in my opinion, now bear in mind it is my opinion, I do not divulge anything that is a spoiler. Anything I talk about is usually able to be found either within the first 5 minutes of gameplay or in the marketing materials, or just in general, it's become just common knowledge on the game. It's kind of one of those things where, yeah, I'm not going to go out and start spoiling the end of The Sixth Sense, but if you're expecting me to talk about an Avengers movie and not tell you who the cast is, that's just not going to happen. And then another thing I saw is people about the titling of these videos, which, yes, I know, I hate it too. There is not just 6 games, whatever, we're talking about 10 here. But I've been doing YouTube now for, 15, 16 years. I just missed the 10-year anniversary of this channel of when I started really uploading consistent videos. And yes, it should be a certain way where, you know, good videos rise to the top, people who have good content rise to the top. And yeah, maybe I'm just not as good as I hope I am, but it doesn't. It doesn't. And I can tell you all how this happens. You need to play to the algorithm, and hey, these videos get in front of you guys, and hopefully you stick around. But like I said, I've been doing this 10 years, and I've never had as much traction as I've had right now. And also, physical games always go up in price. So yes, the titles are still truthful, it just might not be as soon as you think. Ultimately though, I am still recommending looking at these games, picking up if you think they look interesting. So if that sounds interesting to you, let's check it out. There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. My name's Luke. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life.
This is my game room.
Alright, first game we're going to take a look at this week was one I picked up on a recommendation, I want to say from Radical Reggie, or one of those pickup videos of Metal Jesus, and it is a game called Gunborg Dark Matters. Now, this is a very interesting game. It has that techno, surrealist, kind of cyberpunk feel I really enjoy, but it's not completely absolute banger of a game, but it is fun. Now, I do have the PEGI release. Once again, the Switch is great because you don't need it always to be the NTSC release. You can even get Japanese games if they have the English on it. Great. Switch is region free. This is a game where you go through various levels, and I think it's 5 overarching levels and then sub-levels in between, and then you control the main character who has a kind of not a lightsaber, but an energy sword type weapon. And then you have a shield, and that shield will also allow you to kind of surf over obstacles. Think of it like Shovel Knight's shovel, or in not DuckTales. It is DuckTales, yeah. In DuckTales with going down and, you know, bouncing on things. So with this, you can bounce on crystals to get through the levels. There are different weapons you can find throughout that allow you to traverse. And it's one of those, it's not quite a Super Meat Boy like, because I think you can take 3 hits, but it is one of those type of games where it's a side-scrolling action platformer where you will get frustrated at times. It's got a cool aesthetic, it's got a cool vibe, the gameplay is decent, the controls are good. It's just not quite all the way there. It's still fun enough to pick up. It's a cheap game. I want to say I got it for about $20. If it looks interesting to you, get it. Some of the boss fights can be downright annoying, but it is a fun one to pick up, and something you can beat in a session, 4 to 5 hours max, and I enjoy those type of games. Alright, moving on to the next one. I thought I was done buying these damn collections from Limited Run, but then they announced a third collection that I did not have. So they had the first Castlevania collection, then the Advanced collection, and I thought they were done. I thought I had everything, but son of a bitch, they announced the Castlevania Dominus collection. And you actually, when you get it from them, you could have selected a different cover. So I got whatever this cover was. I don't know any of these Castlevania games. So these are the DS ones. This was Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, Order of Ecclesia. And then the thing that really made me want to get it was that they've had other physical versions of it, but one that had it without other collection of fighting games, they had a physical version of a game called Haunted Castle. And I know people have talked to death about it. If you're unfamiliar with Haunted Castle, it is an arcade version of Castlevania. Now, it's nowhere near as good as the original NES Castlevania, but think of it like the way there's an arcade version of Contra that's not as good as the NES Contra. This is basically an arcade version of Castlevania that is nowhere as near as good as Castlevania. And there's having the other DS games on the Switch. I now have every single Castlevania game up to a point on the Switch, and I could not be more happy. So that is one. Pick it up. I know I hate supporting limited run games too, but what are you going to do? I like physical games, and society is not helping me right now. All the companies are going away. Nintendo's introducing digital physical games, so you gotta pick them up while you can so that I can keep my shelves looking all nice and pretty. But let me know, are the DS versions of Castlevania worth playing? The series kind of died on the vine during these games, and I remember some of them didn't get great kind of name recognition like the advanced games did. But let me know, am I wrong here? But yeah, that's one definitely check out, and I'm imagining the cover I picked was probably not the rare one, because I see this one a lot more than some of the other cover variants. But yeah, there's different cover variants, just so you know. Alright, here's a fun one that I was so stoked when they originally announced Minecraft super duper graphics mode, and then it just never came out. But a game that was coming out that was kind of a surprise, sort of had Minecraft with better graphics, and that was Minecraft Dungeons. And this is the hero mode. Now, it is the Switch version. I might tell you guys to get it on something else that plays it better, because once again, I believe this game suffers from the Switch being underpowered. However, it is a fun dungeon crawler using the Minecraft universe, which is crazy now with things like the movie, the Telltale game. Like, Minecraft is a legit universe. I really just played Minecraft shortly after the big boom. So I knew about it when it was on PC, but I'm not a PC player, so I didn't play it. And then when it came out for the Xbox 360 as a download game, that's when I put a lot of time into it. So it wasn't even really vanilla Minecraft, it was the Xbox 360 vanilla Minecraft, which was a little bit different. And then as they started adding mechanics like the health meter, magic meter, those kind of things, I kind of tapered off of it. Anyways, this game's completely different. It's basically a dungeon crawler, and it's heavily influenced by an online ecosystem, so there is a limit to how much fun you can have with this game. It also is very heavily wanting you to play it in co-op, and there's game-breaking bugs, and once again, I don't know if that is because it's on the Switch or not, but it's dumb fun getting to fight off creepers and skeletons, endermen, all those kind of things in a like, I love isometric views, so that's the other thing. It's an isometric 2.5D Minecraft, but better graphic Minecraft, kind of looking like the super duper graphics mode that never came out, which I didn't even know that got canceled until a couple of years ago, which I was really bummed about, because I was looking forward to checking that out. It's funny. Anyways, that's a fun one to pick up. It's a good co-op game. Just bear in mind, you might want to get it on something else that's not the Switch so it runs better. Now, here's a game that is another phenomenal co-op experience. Now, I do not have the definitive version of it on the Switch. It was a limited run games release, and yet, as everyone gets annoyed with these game companies that are releasing stuff on the disc and then DLC comes out afterwards, it's not on the disc. This is a chief complaint for it with this game. Still an absolute phenomenal game, and that is Streets of Rage 4. So this is probably my favorite beat 'em up of all time. My wife loved playing this game with me, and if you know my wife, she is not a gamer. She played N64 games, she plays Mario Kart, but to get her to play a freaking old school beat 'em up, I did not expect what happened to happen. Now, there is a version now that comes with I think it's the X DLC. It's got a different cover on it. That came out a couple of years ago. I think you can still even pick it up. This was the original release of it, which I believe that was delayed to add some of the downloads and patches on it, because it took a while from when the game came out. But when I got it, put in so much time. My wife and I beat it co-op on easy, normal, hard. We were actually working on, I believe, the very hard playthrough. It's a greatest hits, more or less, of the entire Streets of Rage franchise. There's unlockables where you can have cool old school 2D sprites, different characters that did appear in the older games, and then the DLC even introduced more characters. It's got a decent enough story, but the combat is really... One of the things that's annoying about beat 'em ups is the fact that your special weapon always drops your health, so you just don't use it. Well, what Streets of Rage 4 did is that it allows you to use a special that will temporarily drop your health, and so it takes it into the green. And then if you attack someone else and don't get hit, it then replenishes that. Kind of the way it works in Bloodborne with the risk reward. Same thing they do in this game. So you can be dropping specials all day long, and if you're just so good and don't get hit, you can use it. So, God, you can play a beat 'em up where you can use your whole skill set and not feel like you're just going around with meaningless punches and kicks. Such a good game. I could talk about it to death. It is a really fun one. If you're going to pick it up, get the one that has the DLC on it. I still like having this one. Like I said, it's probably one of my wife's favorite games, if not her favorite Switch game, because that's where we played it on. Very fun game, and play it with people who are not traditional hardcore gamers. You might be surprised. Like I said, my wife is not a big gamer. She loves Streets of Rage 4, so that's a tip for you if you want to try it with a significant other, and I wish you guys luck. Okay, now this was one I was super excited for. They only released it on PlayAsia, but once again, Switch is region free. Don't have to have that stupid ESRB logo to still be legit. And this is a game that was a long time coming. I never played the PS1 version, but there was also a pseudo story-based Chrono Trigger sequel that was released with this, and that is Chrono Cross: The Radical Dreamers. Now, Radical Dreamers was I don't know if it was released on the Satellaview, something like that, on the Super Nintendo, that was not necessarily a sequel to Chrono Cross, but almost like a Gaiden side story, that kind of thing, that was completely just an audio, like not audio, but a written, like choose your own adventure type thing. And I remember when I first got into getting the Japanese translated games, I would see Chrono Cross Radical Dreamers. People would put it on a physical cart, but I never bought it just because I was not going to just buy a game for a text-based game. Well, they re-released Chrono Cross. They updated the graphics. Now we can discuss about how I feel about the updates. I'm one of those weird guys that still likes the way the old PS1 graphics look. It's purely nostalgia. What are you going to do? But they did release it with a copy of Radical Dreamers, which I just thought was such a cool thing to do. And now to finally have it in an official form. I always try and support developers when they re-release old games like that. It's why I got the collection of Mana. It's why if they were released Terranigma or anything like that, I'm on it. I get the Retrobit games. That's what I'm saying. You got to vote with your wallet on these things. No one's going to re-release that game that you love that no one's ever heard of if people aren't going to buy it. So yes, that's just my philosophy on that thing. All right, another game that I picked up just on a complete whim. I'm a huge fan of the Universal Monsters. I'm not a huge fan of interconnected universes. The one thing I wish would go away is that, please, not everything has to be related to itself. It's why I fell off of the Marvel Universe. I watched probably the first 4 or 5 movies up to the original Avengers. The only movie I had missed was Captain America. And then I think at the end of that first Avengers film, they're introducing people like Falcon or this and that. And I'm like, I have no idea who these people are. Or I could be confusing this with the second Avengers, which is Age of Ultron. And then by then I'm like, you know what? I've missed too many movies. I can't follow this. So I missed all the Endgame hype, Infinity War, all that. Not Infinity War, not Ward. But anyways, they were trying to do something called the Dark Universe for Universal Monsters. So you're going to have a new Mummy, a new Creature from the Black Lagoon, Jekyll and Hyde, probably Invisible Man, all these things. And the first movie that come out was The Mummy, starring Tom Cruise, and it bombed. It bombed big time. However, there was a game that was released. It might be one of the last movie tie-in game releases because they just don't do them anymore. And this game is called The Mummy Demastered. And the one thing I remember about this game is that I heard from people that, hey, give it a shot. It's actually good. It's actually a good game that's tied into the movie, though it has very little to do with the movie. And I gotta tell you, it is. It is surprisingly good. It is about a 5-6 hour Metroidvania light experience. It's very small and contained. You play as a badass dude. Think of it like one of the guys from, Predator, going and dealing with all these crazy mummy enemies. The mummy itself, I don't know how it follows the story. You're not playing as Tom Cruise. I'm assuming you're playing as the agency, and I don't know if this is a alternate version or a part where she comes free or whatnot. But it is actually surprisingly competent and has good mechanics, has a tight feel, and it's just one of those games. It just comes out of left field. Like it has no business being as good as it is. It's another limited run games release. I want to say I got it for about $40. I think I got it when it was still in stock. So every once in a while you'll notice that where once the game comes out past the pre-order phase, there'll be a collection of them on, sometimes on Amazon or even still on the website when they do those Vault re-releases. So I picked one up from that because I saw a recommendation from somebody, and I did not regret it. I played through the game, I really enjoyed it, and that is another solid one to get on the Switch that you would not think of it. Like, it might be the greatest movie tie-in game that we're going to get, like the last great movie tie-in game. Not that it's great, don't get me wrong, it's like a solid 8, but still a solid 8 out of that trash fire movie, would not have expected it. Alright, getting down to the last few. So this was one that I did not know came out. So I loved the Darksiders franchise. Played the hell out of the first one. It was a pure guess that I picked up back in 2010 when I decided between Darksiders and Dark Souls. Wonder what my life would have been if I picked Dark Souls back then. I did get on them eventually, but I picked up Darksiders, really enjoyed it. I was hyped about Darksiders 2. I just didn't pick it up. I'm not sure why. I think it came out in the time when I was unemployed and I just couldn't afford it. Relatable. Well, this game was not Darksiders 3, which I thought it was. It's called Darksiders Genesis. And with the Darksiders franchise, you're playing as the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, basically. But as you'll notice in media, sometimes you have different people playing the 4 horsemen. So you have death and war, those are always 2 of them, but then the other 2 can sometimes be different. So you'll see pestilence and, famine, like those are the ones from Supernatural. I think those are the actual ones. But in this one, the 4 horsemen are death, war, fury, and strife. And in this game, it's the only one where you play as Strife. Now, Fury was actually the star of Darksiders 3, but I believe this game came out before it. Now, you're playing as Strife, and then you also have a second player you can play as, which is War. And this game allows you, if you're playing it by yourself, to toggle between the 2 of them, and they each have their own separate health bars, separate play style. And I believe if you go through the game, you will eventually unlock the other 2. At least it's highly hinted at. I didn't beat it. But it's an isometric kind of Crimson Alliance, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, that type of game. Or Dungeon Siege 3 like I covered in the 360. I really enjoyed it. I really, really did enjoy it. I liked playing as Strife. He uses 2 guns to fire at enemies from afar. You can switch to War, and he has his big sword, and it kind of breaks down that combat style and the level traversal style, but into a 2.5D dungeon crawler looking game. And I really thought it was pretty decent, and I think I picked that up for about $20. So one that I'd recommend picking up. I like the Darksiders series. I have all 4 of them, and just not what now. I think it takes place before Darksiders 1, so it's a prequel, which I can't stand prequels because the stakes never really ever matter. But I digress. I mean, really, the only thing you can do is retcon stuff in those. But it's interesting, and it's interesting playing as Strife, and one that I would definitely recommend. Alright, speaking of retconning games, so there was a game that came out on the Xbox 360 and PS3 called Catherine. Very, very unique game about a guy who is dating two ladies named Catherine, one with a C and one with a K, and then at night he goes to bed and his guilty conscience, along with every other guilty conscience man in this area, is sent as a, basically as a sheep, or with your characters in his underwear with hearts on it, with horns, and then you have to climb up blocks that you pull out and traverse up and up and up. Well, they did a re-release of it called Catherine Full Body, and you still have Catherine, but then they introduced another Catherine. They call her Rin. So it plays out exactly like the first game does. Well, not the first game, but it plays off exactly like the original does, but then they add in additional side content. Now, having played only this one, I can't tell you if it improves it or doesn't. I think the inclusion of Rin is nice. She's a solid character. It's a very interesting storyline they put in there, as well as they give you 3 additional outcomes to the game. And it's just, you know, like I say, I don't talk about spoilers. I can't talk about this game without spoiling something. It's just not everything is what it seems. But it is one of those games where the older you get, the more you will feel like a scumbag playing it, because it's one thing where I could see myself as a teenager playing this game and not understanding it as much as I do as a married man when I did play it, and so I'll leave it at that. The actual gameplay in it is going and climbing up a tower, and each level has the tower has different mechanics. Sometimes, and then you pull it out. So you scale the walls, you pull it out, and then you climb up it. And your character can only climb up 1 block at a time. So you need to leave yourself enough room while climbing this tower to be able to do that. And to basically add stress to it, the tower slowly falls as the timer goes off, as well as some levels will have enemies chasing you, some levels have enemies up there, sometimes the blocks will have bombs built into them, so it blows up entire sections of the tower you're climbing. There's a lot of nuance in it, especially more so than it looks like on the surface value, but the main reason why you play this game is for the crazy wonky side, you know, not side, but the crazy wonky story. That's the reason why you play this game. Just don't try and feel like too much of a scumbag while you're playing it, because it does kind of make sense by the end of it. Alright, last couple we got here, and these once again are re-releases, because the Switch is known for a hell of a lot of re-releases. So the first one we're going to talk about here is one that is probably going to really keep going up now that the franchise has hit such a high point recently, and that is Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 Definitive Edition. This is a game I'm very glad I picked up before Baldur's Gate 3 came out. I still haven't even opened the damn thing. This is your classic computer RPG made for the Switch. How's that conversion going to work? I don't know. I haven't opened it. I haven't played it, but I've heard these games are great. It's one of those things where you build your own party, and then you can save anywhere. You can get your party stuck in things. That's kind of what happened with me when I played Icewind Dale. And it is a lesson in frustration and patience, and something that, it's funny, we consider, like, I've talked this before, how I don't like the term JRPG, and the reason why I don't like the term JRPG is because Western RPGs, computer RPGs, have more or less usurped the term RPG. And when we were growing up in the 90s, a JRPG was just an RPG, a turn-based RPG. That's why Claire Obscura coming out was so great, because that is a return to form for the quote-unquote JRPG, but I just call those RPGs, turn-based RPGs, versus I would make the distinction of something like Baldur's Gate being a computer RPG or a Western RPG. But anyways, I digress. It's a very good collection to get on the Switch. I think it's physical elsewhere too. I think you can get it on the PS4, but I like my games on the Switch, especially because I'm still buying the damn Switch too. It'll be fun being able to play a lot of this collection on the Switch too, which hopefully might improve some of the performance of the games. Alright, then the last game we're going to talk about this week, yet again, is one I haven't opened, though I have beaten both of these games, and I've seen some information that says this game was not released in America physically, and then others where it said it was. I'm not sure. As far as I know, I think it was only released in Europe and Japan physically, but pick the damn thing up. and that is the Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII collection. You know, it is kind of crazy to me that you literally can play Final Fantasies 1 through 12, outside of 11, obviously, because the MMORPG, on the Switch. Every single one of them is there. And now this game is not enhanced, is not remastered or anything like that. It does say remastered, but I believe it was the remasters that came out on Steam. It's just the same game. And I think they improved it as far as adding some of the quality of life features, but they did not do anything like they did with actual Final Fantasy VII Remaster, where they removed the combat, made it an action game, do all this other crap, bloat. Like, these are the actual games you can play, which, you know, if you don't have a PS1, you don't want to go back to playing it that way, which I probably would still. I'd still like to have this collection as an option to do it. And I love Final Fantasy VIII. I know a lot of people don't. Final Fantasy VIII is probably still my favorite Final Fantasy. I love it more than 9. I am not a 9 person. I'm sorry, guys. I know Tactics. Obviously, Tactics is better involved. But as far as the main lines go, and then Final Fantasy VII is just an absolute legend. Like, how can you not love that game? So having the ability to play those on the Switch, I want to say I bought them for around $30, $40. And I've seen them just kind of fluctuate going up. So one, if you guys are interested in it, pick that one as well. Alright, guys. Well, there is another 10 Switch games that you should immediately go out and drop all your money on. Just thank you guys so much. I can't believe we're closing in on 4,800. Like I said earlier, this was my 10-year anniversary with this channel. And in the last, especially the last year, but the last 2 years, we've really finally gotten some traction. And hey, it brings credence to that expression, like, oh yeah, you worked 20 years to be an overnight success. I'm not saying I'm an overnight success, but the success we have now, just can't thank you guys enough. Thank you all. Thank you for the comments. Remember, I read every single one of them. Thank you for the well wishes. Thank you for the strong criticisms. You know, I can take most of them and, you know, respect it. Some of them get a little far off into it, in my opinion, but hey, I'm always willing to listen, and I for the most part, I'll try and be respectful even if you're not. But hey, thank you guys. As a reminder, I release a new video every Tuesday. It's so nice getting a hold of you. Take care.